Our Ferris wheel is all lit up at night, and many of our rides, including the Power Tower, which we're also right in front of, all goes live with lights at night. And we've just made this one big party every single night here at Cedar Point.
You know, that thing scares the heck out of me, that Tower Power. I just...
You don't ride the Power Tower?
No, I've done it before, but I needed to bring Depends with me.
Wow.
That
TMI.
bad,
Too
huh?
much. Yeah.
It was definitely an experience. I'm afraid of heights. I can handle the twisty loopy and the fast stuff, but the height stuff just gets me.
Nobody ride the ride after Steve. That's
No,
for
that's
sure.
not. That's
Yeah.
probably not a good idea.
I'll make sure I'm in another seat.
Look,
Right.
Look, you got luminosity set up here too. You should talk a little bit
tell
about
us
that.
about
That's
luminosity
fantastic.
because that's wait. Just let them know what luminosity is first.
Looks
It's
like
brand
great.
new this year.
Absolutely. Luminosity is our new exciting live nighttime show, and it features 30 performers. We have dancers, singers, we even have aerialists. You may notice it even has a little bit of a Cirque du Soleil feel at times because you have these performers who are hanging from the setups that you see right over here. They'll actually be dangling, and they do all kinds of aerial feats.
They hang from the steel bars
They
from
hang
the concert rigging.
Looks like there's one right
There's
there.
one right there, and
Yeah.
they'll have a hoop set up in there.
Sandbag holding the line in place. Sure.
Absolutely. You see them even in the middle of the day. You'll see them out there stretching and warming up to get ready, make sure they're all set. The show is actually a little bit different every single night. There's a set choreography, but they change it up, and it's new. It's different performers at times. They just really keep it lively. And that starts right about 9 o'clock, a little bit after 9. You'll notice about 8:30, they actually have a countdown to the show, and people will be waiting there. They'll hang out for a while just to get the best seat in Celebration Plaza to see it. It's really been wonderful for us here at the park because it's just brought a new energy here to Cedar Point.
Well, it makes people want to stay until the very end.
Absolutely. Yeah, before, we had fireworks, we've had laser light shows in the past, and those things have all been well and good, but we really wanted to crank it up 10 notches and just modernize it, have contemporary music. We've got Katy Perry, we've got Jennifer Lopez, Pitbull, everybody that you recognize, as well as some of your old
that's
favorites.
as contemporary as it gets.
Yeah,
Sure
yeah.
is.
Although you would be happy, though, there's still Styx, and there's still some Michael Jackson,
some classic rock and some classic pop.
I'm the Sticks. He's the
absolutely.
Michael Jackson. But
Hey, watch out. Watch it now.
how late does the park stay open, by the
I
way?
didn't want to date you guys. but,
How late does the park stay open?
We're open till 10, but we're here tonight until 11. Saturday nights we're here.
Wow,
until
I didn't know
11.
that. I thought it was a 10 o'clock night. Really, it's 11
at
tonight.
11 o'clock,
Extra
so
hours.
I
Hey.
hope you brought your caffeine, and I hope you're ready to.
I'm going to
stay
be a
all
little
night.
late tonight, guys. If you're listening, I'm going to be a little late home tonight.
After all of the vending opportunities here, I'm sure there's plenty of caffeine for everybody inside the park already.
Oh yes.
So, let me see. Where we got to do a little time check. Okay, we got a couple more minutes left before we hit the break. Sorry.
You got to talk about the dragster.
Oh, yeah, lots of time
one
to talk
thing
about
at a
the
time.
dragster.
One thing at a time. There's a process here. What process? So, I mean,
Oh really? There is. You could have fooled me.
Yeah, I know, boy. Oh, that was a
Just like Denise.
I got shot in the side by Annie.
Nice, nice.
No, I'm glad it's all worked out. We're all Steve is a master here of the wires. I got a little nervous seeing all these wires all going every which way, trying to untangle them, but he
Well,
has
give him a
made
shot
it
of the
work.
white. Look, try and stick with what we're talking about.
Sure.
You're on the power tower. I'm talking to our cameraman. He's our intern from Specs Howard. It's Ryan, who happens to be out here enjoying the park with us today, and just reminded me how ugly I am on camera. So I just wanted to try and stick with what we're talking about. The Tower of Power's been up there for like 20 minutes now, and we're talking about the other stuff.
You
So-
can see the Top Thrill Dragster as well
Yes.
in your shot. Top Thrill Dragster is our tallest ride, actually the tallest thing we have in the park, 420 feet tall.
Wow.
So if you can imagine just being catapulted straight up in the air, 420 feet, and then shot back down, that whole ride happens in 18 seconds.
Oh, are you serious?
So you can imagine you are accelerating from 0 to 120 miles an hour in about 3 seconds. It is the craziest takeoff you will ever watch.
In other words, it's like riding in a car with Steve. Greene,
or
right?
hanging out with your mother-in-law.
Okay.
So, this tower, now that's maglev, isn't it? Isn't it? They do magnetic levitation. Isn't that how they do this? It's run with
It's magic.
linear motors.
It's
Linear motors
magic.
do it.
Yeah, I prefer his answer. It's magic.
It just floats above there. I
just
don't know how.
They do. They have a. It is a magnetic system that.
It's linear induction
Keeps
motors,
that-
I think.
Keeps that together.
There's for the coaster enthusiasts, they like to differentiate between the old crickety wooden coasters and then the standard steel coasters and then the tubular steel coasters, and then now you have the magnetic stuff. It's,
Too many categories for me. Fun and scary. That are the two categories.
Yeah, my category is, extreme scream or okay, little squeak.
a little squeak. Sometimes
I
you
would
get
say-
both.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
would
really
say,
bad nickname to give yourself, by the way, Little Squeak.
So we're coming up on a break time here, real quick. Who do you think we can talk to about maybe some of the history of the park, or are there some other people?
Oh,
here?
yeah.
We have Ken Miller, who's coming in just a few minutes. He'll be here about 12:30, and he is our history buff in the park. He has worked at the Town Hall Museum for a long time.
Wow.
And our Town Hall Museum, of course, is toward the back of the park, where you'll notice Frontier Town. You'll notice it's a really old-timey feel. And we have all the history that you could want in our Town Hall Museum. It's all about where Cedar Point started, what we've become, and how we've evolved over the years. And we continue to evolve with everything. Every single year you have to make changes so that the park looks and feels current. And so we keep attracting more people.
Got to keep it fresh, yeah.
Yeah.
How old is the park?
We opened in 1870.
Oh, man,
So
that's
this
even
is-
older than me. Wow.
Right. This is our 143rd season.
Wow. I just didn't. I thought it was in the early 1900s. I don't know why I thought that.
But you told us previously in a phone call that there used to be a bathhouse. There's some other history. Nice. Very
Yes,
good.
absolutely.
Well,
It started. There was a local entrepreneur, Louis Zistel, and he thought, boy, this would be a great place to have people come and hang out. It was a really undeveloped peninsula at that time. There really wasn't much to it, so he
Except
decided
for the park, there isn't much to Sandusky still to this day. So you guys put Sandusky on the map for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Sandusky, believe it or not, in that time was.
It's okay. It's okay. We're just getting ready to go to break. It's not a big deal. She was afraid of the
Sure.
music.
Oh, that's all right.
So we'll do that. We'll go to break. We'll come right back. We'll talk about some more of the history of the park, what's going on, and what we're going to do here today, and how you can come down and have some of that fun later on tomorrow or today or anytime this summer. We're open for the rest of the season, right through October, I believe, here at Cedar Point. We'll be back. More.
(323-5611) or visit teendrugabuse.org. We have to make a change.
They lead across frozen rivers. They lead from island to island. They lead to higher ground, to build hope, to break through barriers, to free a continent, to explore new worlds, and carry on the ideals of a nation. Officers in the U.S. Army are leaders who can rise to any challenge. They have learned to bring out the best in others and themselves. Can you? Find out more about Army officership at goarmy.com/officer. There's strong, and then there's Army strong.
If you were someone you know received a traffic ticket, has been charged with a misdemeanor, drinking and driving, criminal offense, or has had their driver's license taken away, they need an attorney. They need attorney Glenn McCandless. He's helped hundreds of people solve their legal problems over the past 16 years.
My law firm is dedicated to providing quality legal services at affordable rates.
Call us at 586-755-2900. Again, that's 586-755-2900. Call now.
1310 WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk.
Screen falling off the door hanging off the hinges. My feet are still sore, my back's on the fringes. We tore up the walls, we slept on.
Hey, welcome back to the radio show. We had a little pause there. Technical stuff out in remote broadcast land. We're at Cedar Point today enjoying the park, and aside from the fact that I'm still sweating from setting all our stuff up, I intend on getting up on a ride and catching some air and some wind and maybe some zero G's.
You can do all of that here and more. We've got, of course, every ride has a totally different feel. I still am determined to try to get you on the Power Tower.
Oh, I'm going to go up there.
You're going to go up there?
I didn't say I was a chicken. I just said I was scared. I am so afraid of heights. But, okay, so we were talking before we went to break, before we got rudely interrupted by the bumper music.
Yes.
We were talking about some of the history of the park and how old the park was, and then where we go.
Yeah, we were talking about, actually, back in the 1870s, when Louis Zistel first really identified this as a great place to be, he decided to, he noticed that people would tend to come up here, have vacation, just get away with their families, and he thought, what a great place to put a beer garden and a bathhouse. So we had both up here. He used to take people on his ferry, the Young Reindeer, and they would come back and forth. He'd shuttle them. There was a stop in Sandusky, and he'd shuttle them back and forth. Now, in that time, Sandusky was actually much more of a thriving community than it is, year-round thriving community. They had ice harvesting all along Lake Erie.
Oh, see, now that was a big industrial thing.
Oh, absolutely. There were so many ships coming in.
The lake was more important back then, right?
Bay. Absolutely, yeah. And, modernization is great. Technology is wonderful. But, yeah, a lot of jobs were taken away when you no longer needed to have a little ice box in your kitchen.
Right. My dad still calls it an ice box. He does. Do your parents still call it an ice box?
No.
No, your parents are a little younger.
My parents are a little younger.
No. But that ice harvesting was a big industry. I mean, because it could only take place once a year, and then, of course, obviously you had to store it. So that was a big thing.
And, we could use some ice on a day like today. It's a nice hot day, and we got Soak City waiting for us in a little while. Go over and do some splashing around in the Soak City.
Well, there's so many different... I was just going to say, there's so many different things here to spend your time on. I mean, Soak City, if you get back there, you have so many distractions on the way to get there.
All the eye candy. There's a lot of people here. A lot of pretty people out here.
Well, we got the cruisers, coasters, restaurant over here with classic cars out in front of it. There's just about everything you want for anybody you'd want. The little kids have rides. The big kids have rides. Everything.
If you can make it back to Soak City, once you've been able to keep your focus for just a little bit, you can hit up our Dragster H2O. It's our brand new slide. It just opened this year. And, of course, we modeled it after Dragster. We knew that Dragster was so popular.
It's a new slide?
It's a brand new. It's a 6-lane mat racer slide.
Wow.
So you'll actually race your friends. I'd like to see the two of you go up against each other.
Hey,
and
I'm a light guy.
I'll
lose for sure.
I weigh about twice what Steve weighs, so I predict a victory that one.
I think you may be onto something.
Do I get a handicap? Do I get to start ahead of you? So,
having me as a co-host is a handicap.
The great thing about Dragster H2O is that younger kids can ride it. You don't have, the height requirement is lower than many of the other slides. Many of the slides are 48 inches. This one, you only have to be 42 inches to ride. So you can hop on to Dragster H2O. It goes about 30 miles an hour
it's the water
down the
dragster.
slide.
How
It's like
cool
a
is that?
water dragster.
30 mph
and we have
into
Ken
the pool.
Miller, who's just wandered over here
So
from Town Hall Museum.
Ken's the historian.
Ken is our historian in the park.
Come on over, Ken. We'd love to talk to you.
We're
doing really well. I guess you can kind of, I guess we could probably try and share a mic. Unless you want to give him the hand mic, you can give him the hand mic.
I've never used it before, so...
That's okay. He's going to go over and sit where Annie was.
All right.
Thanks, Annie, for...
Thank you so much, Annie Zellman.
We'll probably talk to you in a little bit.
Sure, I'll be back
Annie Zelm, she's been great. Thank you, Cedar Point, for having such a great, wonderful person to liaison with us.
Oh, look, you said you're new here, Annie, aren't you? It's a great way to start off a new relationship. I love it.
Nice.
So, I'm sorry,
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller.
Yep.
Ken, I was trying to say, I got bad eyesight. I'm over 40. I need my reading glasses. I couldn't see your name tag over there, and I got a short memory with all this stuff going on around me. So tell us about where the park started. Annie said that mentioned that the park opened in 1870.
Yeah, correct. Actually, about 1865, 1868, the Sandusky newspaper recommended that somebody come over and start basically bring people over to enjoy the beach. If you had a private boat, you could come across already, and a lot of people were doing that. But if you did not own a boat and had no way of getting here,
so it's kind of like it kind of used to be like Put in Bay, kind of.
Pretty much. It was always been a peninsula, but it was also very inconvenient to get here.
Right.
So most of our guests came at that point in time would come over
via boat,
via huge ferries.
Wow.
3,000-4,000 people at a time on a
Cedar
boat.
Point ferries. I still see signs for that. Yes.
Yep.
So now the park modified and changed through the years. It started to become an amusement park as you brought some amusement attractions in, some roller coasters in.
Well, correct. Well, our first roller coaster here was in 1892. A lot of people have the misconception that we've only been doing roller coasters pretty recently. Our Blue Streak is our oldest roller coaster here, and that's 48 years old. So a lot of people think we haven't done anything prior to that. But our first roller coaster here was in 1892. It was called the Switchback Railway. All roller coasters back then used railroad track, so they're all called railways.
Oh, wow.
And this was a switchback, which means it actually made a U-turn.
Huh.
It changed directions. No. Which at that point in time was unheard of.
That was a new feature back. That was like the new thing.
Exactly. Matter of fact, it was the second roller coaster in the entire country.
I was going to ask. Yeah, that had to be one of the first.
One of the first. Cutting edge technology. It was 25 feet tall, went about 15 miles an hour. And basically, you'd climb 2 flights of stairs, got on the ride at the very top of the first hill, went down on pretty much was a picnic bench. Maybe seatbelts, maybe not. And when you got off the ride, the people working the ride pushed it up back the hill for the next people. There was no chain lift, no mechanical parts. It was just all gravity.
So nowadays, when they test out a new coaster, they put weighted like
crash
representatives in there.
Yeah, actually, we do that when we do our testing in the morning. We actually use sandbags and crash test dummies, so it simulates the weight and the G-forces.
I thought you used park employees as crash test dummies. That's
well, that's what I was going to say. Nowadays, you have these you test it with real world scientific testing. Back then, park goers were the guinea pigs, weren't they?
Right. Pretty much. Safety's always been a main concern for Cedar Point, but if you take a look back at some of our early roller coasters, like the Racer back in the 1920s.
Yeah.
Seatbelts were an option.
Safety was not the biggest thing back then.
Safety was not the biggest thing, and never really totally dangerous, but they were rough rides back then.
So what are some of the interesting historical notes that you can expand upon a little bit from Cedar Point?
Next year, obviously we have a lot of parties going on. This year is the 100th anniversary for one of our carousels, but next year is the 100th anniversary for Newt Rockney, who is the Notre Dame coach.
Oh, wow.
He was actually a lifeguard here in 1913 and 1914.
Well, that I didn't know. Cool.
And that is really cool.
Well, he and his roommate, I believe Gus Darius, I believe is the correct pronunciation for his last name. They were lifeguards and roommates here on the point, and they worked here in 1913 and 1914, and this is where they perfected the forward pass techniques.
Oh, really? Right here on Cedar Point?
Yeah, right on the beach.
Wow.
Interesting.
So now the beach is still an active part of Cedar Point. You have Soak City
definitely.
out on the beach, and part of Soak City's out on the beach.
Correct.
And then you've also got a lot of. I know the Magnum goes out over the.
So the Magnum actually goes out over the Soak City area.
Right.
We are using the beach quite a bit. We have a volleyball tournament going on this weekend.
Wow.
We have lots of things.
Which incidentally, the weather's perfect for right now.
Oh yeah, nice and sway.
Yep.
But the beach has always been the main focus for us for about the first 50, 60 years. If you take a look at like a 1920s advertisement, it would have been come to the beach, enjoy the shows. We had vaudeville, we had bowling alleys, one of the first movie theaters in the Midwest. We have boxing exhibitions. Oh, by the way, we have kiddie rides too, which would be 3 major roller coasters.
Mm-hmm.
But the focus was always on the beach until the late 50s.
Interesting.
When that's the late 50s is really when the amusement park scene really kind of took
Correct.
off.
Coney Island kind of thing developed its mystique.
Exactly. A lot of different places across the country. That's when the focus changed from beach resort to amusement park. But like I said, we've had roller coasters. And
that's when the rides got more fun than the water.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
So now, what is your newest attraction here this year?
The newest attraction here this year is Dinosaur Island.
Now that's the old paddle wheel ride.
Well, we had to remove the paddle wheel boats to make room for the Dinosaur Island to make everything accessible. So unfortunately, the paddle wheel excursions did get retired.
And so the old hillbilly's gone. They're shooting at the hillbilly, but the still
that
is
was
gone.
fun with the alligator that stuck its head up.
Yeah. Well, if you still like that kind of thing, the train ride still has the skeletons and Boneville.
Oh,
and
that's
all
still
that.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, that's fun.
The train ride still has all that.
Is it all still active for the train ride?
Definitely.
Nice.
I didn't know that it functioned both for the train and for the. I didn't think about it like that. I guess.
Well, they're 2 separate things. So,
Right.
Yeah.
It's a trip down memory lane for those of us that visited when we were younger.
So now, what is the dinosaur attraction?
Well, dinosaur attraction is basically animatronic dinosaurs. Some of them are interactive, so the kids who can control their movements, all that kind of thing. It's a walkthrough attraction, so it's good with kids and strollers all the way up to adults. I have 3 children and a granddaughter. My granddaughter loves it, and she's only 6, but my older daughter loves it too. So it's good for all age groups.
Now that particular attraction is an additional charge.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's like $5 or something to get to go to that. And then last year's newest attraction was the Windseeker.
Correct. Yeah, Windseeker is actually a very fun ride. I like it best in the evening because you're looking down from 300 feet on top of the rest of the park.
You can.
Wow.
But you're up there long enough. See, like Millennium Force, you go up 300 feet, but you're not up there long enough to get a good view.
Right.
So Windseeker, you're up there long enough to get a very good view of the entire park. And in the evening, when the lights are on for the roller coasters and luminosity shows going on and all that.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Fantastic.
Wow, I'll have to do that during luminosity.
Yeah.
Catch the luminosity from the Windseeker.
Yeah.
We were here last year, and we were towards the beginning of the park open, and they were still doing some testing and getting approval. I think there's state officials and people got to sign off on everything on these new rides, and so we didn't get a chance to go because they were still testing it out.
Yep.
But it seems to when you walk past the thing, it's like, well, it's just some seats on a chair and it's dangling. Wow, that's kind of a weird ride.
Yeah, well, like I said, you're 300 feet up, so
that's the thing.
Total freedom.
You're total freedom. Your legs are hanging free, so you do get the kick back and sit back a little bit.
You get the whole
and
air
enjoy the
effect.
view.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely.
Windseeker.
Yeah, you definitely get the breeze up there a little bit more than you do down here on the ground.
What ride, just based on your observation, is the most trafficked? What's the ride that has the biggest line?
Biggest line, basically the most popular 3 rides, obviously the roller coasters, and unless it's 105 out, in which case the water rides become very unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much Millennium Force, Maverick, and Top Thrill Dragster are going to be the most popular rides. Sheer number of riders, though, Gemini handles more people because it's a racing roller coaster, so that actually has more riders over the course of a day.
I still like the Magnum.
I like Millennium Force myself. That's my favorite.
Hey, Millennium Force is your.
I like the go-karts. That's my speed.
I like the pie in the face.
I like the diner. sit in the classic car. Don't move. It's fine.
Yeah, Coaster Diners is good. It's a good ride too.
So throughout the years, the park started as a beach resort, and then modified into some roller coasters, and
it just kind of grew from there. The main focus again was always on the beach, so most people would come over via some kind of ferry from downtown Sandusky, and they would come from Chicago, Detroit, New York, wherever by train, get off at downtown Sandusky and take a ferry boat across. Mm-hmm. From that, they would come across into where our marina area is, so everything was kind of focused on the spaces between the marina and the beach. All the amusement park, the kids rides, the theaters, the vaudeville was pretty much focused on that. Our main arcade building, which is not called the Coliseum, built in 1905. We had a lot of things going on there. Also the Coliseum, excuse me, not the Coliseum, we just said that, but also the Grand Pavilion, which is where our Coral Courtyard dining area is now. That's an 1888 building.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
huge place. Bathhouse, dining rooms, the whole bit. And that really serviced everybody going to the beach. We had a separate ladies pavilion because they didn't mix. The ladies and the kids went away from the beer.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Aw.
And then we also had hotel breakers that started in 1905. So we had a lot of things going on very early on.
Well, right now you went from ice harvesting to Snoopy ice skating. I see behind me you've got a big arena here, and you have Peanuts on Ice. Tell us about that.
Well, Pants on Ice basically does obviously have one of the best air conditioning in the park. It's been a very popular show. Pretty much on the Snoopy on Ice, originally that building was an IMAX theater. We were one of the first places in the country to have an IMAX theater.
Really?
But just like, things change over time, and we actually phased that out and put in the Snoopy on Ice show quite a few years ago, and it's been popular ever since.
I want to know what happened to the Dolphins, because I remember the Dolphins.
Oh yeah, over Oceana. Yeah.
Oh, that was fantastic. I used to love that.
Yeah, basically we had 4 dolphins in a dolphin show. Misty, Breeze, Striker, and Coco were the 4 dolphins. Striker is the male. The other 3 were females.
Good ratio.
Depends on who you talk to.
Right.
But basically, that was here for a large number of years. We also had a walk-through aquarium with penguins.
I
and all
remember.
that.
Yes.
Obviously, again, times change. And right now, that is our extreme sports outdoor show. So we've taken that whole outdoor theater and converted that over.
So how do the penguins fit into the extreme sports? Do they participate or no?
They actually got removed.
Oh, they're retired too, huh?
The aquarium is gone.
Yeah.
You guys used to do like a chimp show too, or you had some other animals on stage?
Well, it was a place called Jungle Larry's.
Yeah.
And that's where Power Tower is now. Jungle Larry Tesseloff, this was mid-'80s.
Right.
And his wife Safari Jane and his son David ran that show for quite a few years.
Right.
But unfortunately, he did pass away. And his wife and son kept that going for quite a few years. They also have a full-time park down south in Naples, Florida. And they finally had to make a choice between the two. And unfortunately, they decided to go down
Well, a lot of the tropical animals are much better off in Florida than they are here in Ohio.
It's higher than here now than it is down there. So.
Right.
Yep. True.
But in the wintertime, it's a whole different story.
Well, in the wintertime, they actually would take the animals and move them down to Florida for the time period.
Really?
So they were bouncing back and forth between the two.
But there's been so many different, we're talking about things from the 80s, from the 60s, from the 70s, tons of rides, tons of exhibits and activities here that stick with you in your memory.
Oh, yeah.
When you come here as a youth, certain things just remain. I remember my first time on the Blue Streak. It was a little scary, it was a little crazy, but it was a lot of fun, and I got right back in line.
Right.
And then the first time the corkscrew came, that was really scary. You were upside down, and that was the first time. Was the upside down corkscrew, was that the first inverted roller coaster in America?
It wasn't the first inverted roller coaster. They've been doing inverted roller coasters for quite a while. But the corkscrew in 1976 was the first one that actually turned you upside down 3 times.
That's what I remember about, because
the triple screw, always a good
thing. That was the
when you get a triple
bicentennial
screw.
year here in
That's
America.
right, which is why the color scheme was red,
white, and blue. Right.
But it was also one of the first roller coasters that went out over the Midway.
And that was back when tubular roller coasters were fairly new on the scene. The tubular steel roller coasters?
Well, the very first tubular steel roller coaster in the country was in the mid-'50s.
Oh, really?
No,
But
so
they didn't really have a big
Not really.
change until like in the 70s and 80s. That's when the tubular steel became real popular.
Tubular.
Yep.
80s, right?
Steel.
Well, the main roller coaster that really started what we call the Coaster Wars was the Magnum 1989.
Yeah.
That was the first roller coaster to hit the 200-foot mark and the first roller coaster to hit the 70-mile-an-hour mark. And that just started the wars from all the different amusement parks.
Six Flags,
it
all
really
of
did
those,
ramp up the wars because, hey, be careful with that. There's some audio issues with you guys playing with that. So when I remember during that time that there was a lot of talk about all that. You know what I mean? There was a lot of discussion.
Right.
It really. I remember seeing that roller coaster on the national news talking about it, and there were some people that took some media rides, and you got a view of what it looked like and how high it was and how fast it went. And that's when all the other parks in America started planning for their next. How do we top Cedar Point now?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Well, like I said, Magnum was the first one to hit the 200-foot mark. Somebody broke that record, and we said, okay, fine, let's do this again. Millennium Force, first one to hit the 300-foot mark, first one to hit over 90 miles an hour. Somebody broke that
90
record.
miles an hour.
And then so we said, okay, let's take it up a notch.
Millennium, or dragster.
Top thrill dragster, right?
Wow.
First one to hit the 400-foot mark, first one to hit 120 miles an hour. And
Is this going to be like computers, like it just doubles every couple years?
I don't think so.
At some speed, your eyeballs just go right out of the back of your head. So there has to be a top speed.
I think there's a limit of what we can do. So.
Yeah, I think 120 miles an hour probably the safest limit that we could have.
Right.
Although, yep, 120 mph. And you know, the safety, like you mentioned earlier about doing test rides in the morning to make sure the equipment's safe. These amusement parks across America, across the world, exist with almost no problems whatsoever. It's pretty amazing the technology that goes into making sure passengers are safe on these crazy things.
Right. I was discussing this with one of our guests back in the museum yesterday. What is the most dangerous ride here in the park? And basically, our agreement was the most dangerous ride in the park was getting in his car at the end of the night and going home.
You're right
I
about
think you're
that.
right. Absolutely.
Everybody's leaving at the same time, the whole bit.
So
Fender benders, angry people.
We're running the break. We'll be right back with more live at Cedar Point on 1310 AM WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk.
More from America's Roller Coaster Park next on 1310 WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk.
The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069.
They lead across frozen rivers. They lead from island to island. They lead to higher ground, to build hope, to break through barriers, to free a continent, to explore new worlds and carry on the ideals of a nation. Officers in the U.S. Army are leaders who can rise to any challenge. They have learned to bring out the best in others and themselves. Can you? Find out more about Army officership at goarmy.com/officer. There's strong, and then there's Army strong.
I don't know what happened there, but the commercial ended. There was no rejoin music. I don't know. I do not know what happened. But in any event, we're back live at Cedar Point on 1310 AM WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk. It's about 22 minutes before the top of the hour. 1 o'clock, you'll have the there's the rejoin music.
Dun, 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 dun.
Somehow we missed a spot in there. There's about 30 seconds worth of commercial that we missed. Sorry, we'll catch it back to you later.
Promise.
We'll play 2 next week.
Promise,
2.
promise. You bet.
So we are back, and we've got Annie back with us.
Yay, Annie.
Annie was talking to us about some of the history of the park and led us into our park historian. And then I wanted to kind of talk about some of the things that people need to know when they come to Cedar Point. For example, I think something that I didn't know last year that I found out the hard way, and I guess some people find out the hard way, but you don't want them to find out the hard way. You shouldn't take anything on the roller coaster with you. You should empty your pockets, no cameras, that kind of stuff. It's not because they don't want you to film the stupid thing. It's that they don't want anybody to get hurt. You're going really fast.
Stuff drops out of there at a high velocity.
That's true.
And I found out for the first time last year when somebody, as I was getting off, they're like, delete the video, and if you do that again, we're going to arrest you for a felony. Oh, I didn't know. Sorry. Okay, I get the point.
No, they're serious about that. And again, it is a safety issue more than it is a proprietary. We're not really worried about you seeing any secrets up behind the top thrill dragster, but really,
Well,
it's
you know,
just
some people think that you don't want to see what the roller coaster looks like. You know,
we have that video that we've
Yeah.
got up on our website
Right.
for most of our rides. We have the full point of view video
Right.
that they can just check out. But yeah, again, we just want to keep our guests safe.
well, and
So-
you guys do that when there's nobody else on the coaster, and
Right.
and you've got it mounted, and it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't want to take any chances with cell phones that might fly off a ride, hit
Look, if
someone
I
in the
if,
head.
if I made a multi-million-dollar attraction, I wouldn't want to throw gear at it either, because
No.
that's what it ends
That's
up
right.
being. It ends up being a projectile instead of a camera or whatever it is.
Well, even a quarter falling out of your pocket from some of these tall rides could be really a problem.
Which
if
is
it
why
hits.
they have the place where you take your stuff out of your pockets when you get on the ride, and you put them in a locked bin and then when you come back, they unlock it and you get your stuff back out.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple rides, though, that you are not able to walk up. There is no loose article bin, and Top Thrill Dragster is one of those.
Oh, really?
So make sure you either leave them with someone who's not riding in your group, or we have lockers available in front of the Top Thrill Dragster. That is one ride. It's happened to me before where you get up there and you're like,
What do I
"Oops,
do
I've
now?"
got my cell phone. Guess I'll have to, shove it somewhere.
Right, tape it something.
Hide it somewhere
Right.
on your person.
Just
but
stick
you
it down
know,
your pants or
that's-
something. You know it's not going to fly
right,
out of there.
Right. That's not always ideal to have
Right,
something
right. Well,
not
jostling
always
around.
hygienic either.
And that's why I thought I'd bring
Sure.
some of these things up. Well, if you're a park goer and you got kids or older folk, is there a best way to approach your park experience? To make it more friendly for everybody.
Yes, I think I would encourage everyone to pick up a live entertainment schedule. We have 10 live shows this year, and many of those shows happen every day in the park. So at any given time, you can catch a show here at Cedar Point. I could talk about a few of those. What you should do really is look at that schedule and figure out when you are going to be in a certain area. For instance, if you're starting at the front of the park, although my real recommendation is to start in the back of the park and work your way up, because
Hey, that's a smart move.
Everybody goes right for the Raptor and the Blue Streak, the coasters that we have at the front of the park, as soon as they get here. And of course, you've got to wait in line for those.
Right.
So start at the back. Start making your way back to the Maverick, which usually has about an hour and a half wait on a busy
Right.
Saturday like today.
Right.
Go and ride that first.
Oh,
Get
heck
here.
yeah.
Another great tip is to get here at 9 o'clock by staying in one of our resorts. If you're staying with us here on the peninsula, you get in an hour before anybody else. So 9 o'clock, that's enough time to ride probably 3 or 4 roller coasters in that hour without having to wait in a long line.
That's
So-
awesome.
Use the gondola ride to get to the back of the park too. That's a lot of fun.
Now
Yeah.
this year you guys started something new. It's the Fast Pass. Tell us about the Fast Pass.
Sure. Fast Lane is it's our premium perk that we offer here at the park. We know that there are some guests who really are only interested in the value. They just want to save as much money as possible, and others just want to get the most out of the experience as possible. They may only be here for one day, and they really want to try and see it all. And that's almost impossible because our park is about 364 acres, so you just can't see it all. But Fastlane is a great way to start seeing
Aerial
it all.
plane flyover. That's how you see it all.
That's how you see it all.
But you don't
or
experience
riding the Sky Ride. You can
Right.
see it a lot.
Yes.
Or the
Space
Wind Seeker.
Needle.
Your source historian was telling us about the Wind Seeker, how you could see the park at night, and you're up high enough.
Sure.
You get that full 360 view.
Absolutely. Another one that you should ride, and you better ride it soon because it's going down. That's the Space Spiral.
The Space Spiral is coming down?
Oh, yes. We just announced that yesterday. We announced 2 rides that are coming down.
Really?
Yes, Disaster Transport, which many will remember as the old Avalanche Run. It's a
Oh,
bobsled
yeah.
coaster.
Wow.
And it's an enclosed roller coaster right at the front of the park. You'll notice that there's a 12E sign on the side. You can't miss it.
That's the
a massive
indoor roller coaster.
Indoor roller coaster. It's
Right.
the only indoor coaster that we have, and we're bidding farewell to it. It comes down in 2 weeks.
Really?
So if you really like Disaster
You
Transport,
know, I'll tell you what. I was
better go ride it now.
telling somebody just the other day about how I loved that coaster because it was inside and it gave you the night experience during the day. Plus, it's just so surprising. Everything when you don't know what's going on. It's kind of dark in there, which is the whole point. Wow.
Yeah, all those little dips will catch you off
Right.
guard because it all happens in the dark. And again, that ride is going down starting in early August. We are having a last ride auction, though, to bid farewell to Disaster Transport on July 29th. We're partnering with Give Kids the World out of Florida. and you may be familiar with them. I'm sure you've heard
I've
of them
heard of them.
before. Yes, they provide week-long vacations to children with life-threatening illnesses and their families so that they can really have that time to just get away from the hospital for a while,
Right.
focus on having fun, focus on spending some much-needed family time. And
So it's
we
kind of like
are-
a cross between the Ronald McDonald House and the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Nice.
Yes.
Very good.
Absolutely. So we want to make sure that Give Kids the World, we want to make sure we raise as much money as possible for Give Kids the World. They've been a wonderful partner for us for a number of years. Each year we host events called Coasting for Kids, where you get all day exclusive ride time.
How
You just
cool
get
is
to
that?
get to marathon ride our roller coasters if you raise the minimum donation.
Sure.
And for disaster transport, for our final farewell, we're calling it Disaster Transport Final Launch and Final Dispatch actually. But it's a mission for the kids, and it truly is. So
real quickly, did what's going in its place? Is there something obviously when you take something down, something else? It's the only reason you take it down is because something else is going to replace it.
I
You don't
think
know?
You might be onto something. You might.
Oh,
be,
it's a big
we
secret.
we might just be using that as a little distraction, a little decoy there up at the front.
I see.
But again, we never take things out without a reason. We
Does it
always
have
a master plan behind it. We're not just taking it out because.
Well, you guys don't usually make the announcements about new park rides until the next year.
Well, I can tell you that you'll be hearing some news probably within a few weeks.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
in conjunction with
Be
the
hearing
teardown,
some
the,
really
the, the demolition.
Right, you'll be hearing some really exciting news. Very
Does it have a
soon
new
here.
home that it's going to?
The park ride.
No, Disaster Transport and the Space Spiral are both being demolished. They are not moving to other parks.
Wow.
They have. We feel that they've been well-loved rides for quite a while, and we just feel though that they have
run their course.
Run their course,
Right.
absolutely.
Well, everything has a lifespan.
Right,
it has a
right.
beginning and an end.
Yeah, the Space Spiral was great because it was that family ride where you could get on. It's a great view of the park, and you could kind of see it all without having to feel that huge
Right.
drop in your stomach.
Right.
It's
That
just-
you're talking
it's a
about the
tame
needle, the
thrill.
big-
Yes.
Right.
The big Space Needle. But now we do have other locations. Of course, you can hop on our Sky Ride, and
Right.
you can be in the cabin with your family and see the park that way. See the park if you are up for heights and don't mind flying around a pole. You can be on Windseeker.
We were talking about the Fast Pass. How much does it cost to get the Fast Pass? If you're going to come and get the Fast Pass, are we going to get a chance to get the Fast Pass and check that out?
Yes,
Because I'd love to
yes.
tell people what that's like.
Absolutely.
You know, Ryan, come on over here for a second. Ryan says that he came out here in May. And tell him the story, Ryan. Tell him about coming out here in May, without the Fast Pass versus with the Fast Pass. Tell him what you got here early.
It was a Friday. We got here as the park opened. We were at the gates by 10. We went, I believe my first ride, we waited for the dragster. We waited 2 hours. And, school wasn't out. It's still, kids were in their high schools and whatnot. Then we went to the Magnum XL. We rode that. It took about 15 minutes. Jem and I about 15 minutes. We went to the Maverick. We waited 2 hours, and I convinced the guy I was with, we got to get this pass. We got to get this pass.
So you rode 3 rides from 10 o'clock until
approximately 3 o'clock.
And then at 3 o'clock, you decide to get the Fast Pass.
Yes.
And then what happens?
I rode 17, 18 rides, and not any rides. I rode the Dragster 7 times in a row. The Millennium Force 6 times in a row. The Maverick 5 times in a row. By the time it was
I noticed these numbers are getting successively smaller.
I was
7,
ready,
6, 5.
I was ready to go. I had done enough abuse to my body.
Did
so
you have a chiropractor on standby?
it's so funny you say that because I was still attending school. And Monday morning when I walked in, they said, "What did you do to yourself?"
Oh, no. But that is the great benefit of Fastlane is that you can ride the rides as many times as you want. You can ride 20 of our rides. Many of the biggest coasters, the most popular rides we have in the park are part of Fastlane.
And you sell a limited number of those tickets.
And we sell a limited number because, again, we don't want to make the Fastlane turn into the regular line so that you're waiting, an hour anyway. Most of those rides, again, if it's something like Maverick, where on a busy Saturday you might wait for an hour and a half, you should be able to get on. I've tested it out, and you should be able to get on within 10 to 15 minutes. So that just saves you so much time. And
Well,
it
it
makes
saves
feel
you
like
saves you some sunburn too.
If you're not on a budget, it's the only way to go.
Yeah.
It's for the real coaster enthusiast. You have no option. That is the move.
That is the move. And actually, if you have a group with you, if you have 4 people with you, $50. So it's less expensive with more people.
Oh, so if you get a reduction if you get a
if you
group
get a
of
group
people
together. So just grab your friends and decide to go and take the VIP tour.
That
of
is the
park.
VIP tour.
That is really our VIP. And
I
that's
want
the best
I want a
way to
VIP.
experience.
Can I VIP today?
These are your VIP tickets
Oh wow,
for the day.
she did give us some
so
tickets.
what you'll need to do, I'll explain
Wait.
how it works. You'll take these tickets with you. You can order the
Nice.
Fastlane tickets on our website at cedarpoint.com.
Wow.
Or you can come and get them at various locations throughout the park. And you'll need to redeem that ticket for a wristband. The wristband is your VIP ticket. You'll just be walking up through the fast lane. Look for the bright yellow signs, and you can't miss them. Every ride now that's part of Fast Lane has a separate Fast Lane entrance. So you'll just scoot on through that entrance.
That is so cool.
And hop on the ride. And if you like it, then just come back and get back in the line again.
Now,
And then you'll walk funny on Monday. For
For
anybody over 40.
Speaks really well. That makes sense. Almost everybody here except for Bob and probably you, Annie. I mean, the rest of us are. Well, what about you?
I'm 40.
See, you're not over 40 though. So you're still
I'm
part
not
of the
over 40.
undercrowd.
Oh, I'm still going to do the damage. Don't worry. I'm going to ride.
Bob doesn't want. I thought Bob wanted to say something. What? Sing? He's not going to sing. It was just an embarrassed laugh. Bob's our technical support person. We wouldn't be on the air now if it wasn't for Bob. So thank you so much, Robert, for coming out and dedicating part of your day to help us get on the air and help tell people about what's going on out here.
Yeah,
Because
speaking
none
of-
of this would be happening without Robert.
Sure.
Now, with regards to parking, you were saying that over 40 people, you get done with the park for the day, you're spent. You're burping. You've had your food. You've had your liquid refreshment, whatever it is, and you're going off to the vehicle. What would you suggest? You got various and sundry parking available. Tell us about parking.
Well,
Wait a minute. We might not
We'll
be able
talk
to. We
parking
might have to
later.
do parking after the break.
Yeah, we'll talk parking and some other great tips after the break.
That
No
sounds like
parking on the dance floor.
No parking on the dance floor. That's a good idea. So we'll do the break, and we'll come back with more live from Cedar Point on 1310 AM WDTW live.
WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk.
The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069.
They lead across frozen rivers. They lead from island to island. They lead to higher ground, to build hope, to break through barriers, to free a continent, to explore new worlds and carry on the ideals of a nation. Officers in the U.S. Army are leaders who can rise to any challenge. They have learned to bring out the best in others and themselves. Can you? Find out more about Army officership at goarmy.com/officer. There's strong, and then there's Army strong.
If you or someone you know received a traffic ticket, has been charged with a misdemeanor, drinking and driving, criminal offense, or has had their driver's license taken away, they need an attorney. They need attorney Glenn McCandless. He's helped hundreds of people solve their legal problems over the past 16 years.
My law firm is dedicated to providing quality legal services at affordable rates.
Call us at 586-755-2900. Again, that's 586-755-2900. Call now.
1310 WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk.
Hey, we're back live at Cedar Point with Annie Zelm. She is the Media Affairs Director here at Cedar Point, and we love you. You've taken care of us so well, and I just look forward to maybe coming back next year and doing this again. Maybe when we've got the speakers working in the park. We couldn't get the park speakers to work today, so you guys on the radio can hear us. The people in the park are walking past going, what are those guys doing?
But we're having a lot of fun, so it doesn't matter.
Tell us, Annie, about what's going on with helpful tips. People coming to the park, how can their experience be better than what it otherwise would be?
Sure. Well, first of all, you want to make sure that you're not, if you can avoid paying full price, we have plenty of options for you to do that. And you can do that by going to cedarpoint.com. Make sure you check for our special deals because we have discounts almost daily. $7 right off the bat just for purchasing tickets online.
Mhm.
Makes it easier for you and for us because your tickets are already printed, ready to go. No waiting in line. That's the way to go. We also have a Monday through Friday weekday saver where you save $15 just for picking your day. Every Monday through Friday, pick a day and save $15 per ticket.
Nice. Wow.
Also, if you know you're coming with a group, buy the family 4-pack of tickets because that's a wonderful way to save as well. You're saving $12 to $13 per ticket off the bat for those. So check out cedarpoint.com. Another
So
way.
it's like a $50 savings overall for them when you buy them that way.
Absolutely. You save tons of money that way.
You can buy you one of those extra tall Cedar Point drink cups that you can run around and get refilled everywhere.
Yeah, actually we do. We have some drink wristbands available. You can purchase those if you know you're coming with a group, if you have at least 15 people coming. It's a great option to buy those wristbands, $7 per person for those wristbands, and you get unlimited drinks all day.
That's really, I didn't even know about that tip.
Yeah, so that's brand new, and we're getting ready to roll out a new promotion through August. We're going to have Pepsi days where every Sunday,
Gotta love Pepsi.
drinks are on us.
Gotta love
we're
that Mountain
having
Dew.
free drinks in the park. It's a ticket that we'll offer for our corporate groups. If you're coming, company picnic, drinks are on us those
Wow.
days. So
Nice.
that's
Very
a
good.
huge value.
That
to
is a
you.
huge value. If you're
Yeah.
a large group and you're bringing a lot of people and you're having a corporate event or a company event, oh, that's invaluable.
Sure. Look for more. We haven't posted it yet, but look for more about Pepsi Days in the park. We'll have that. Also want to mention when you do get here, check into preferred parking. We do offer for $8 more, you can park right at the front of the park, the closest you can get. And it's
Except
just
for handicap.
Yeah, except for handicap, of course. But it's a great way to be in and out and not have to wait in that long line at the end of the day when you're tired.
Or have
just
to vie
go
for
right
parking.
up.
Hey, we got to get there at 7:30, or you get the line going
Right.
outside.
Good
Are they
tip.
open yet?
Good tip.
This is our VIP parking. So
I go out to my car throughout the day. I keep sodas, maybe something to eat. So for me to have that VIP parking right there, it saves a lot of walking time, and it's well worth the
Right, because
extra
you're going
money.
to walk back to the car no matter where it's parked.
I'll do it for my suit for Soak City. I'll do it to change if it gets cooler. It's so worth it. It's a nice feature.
Wow, that's preferred parking. So there's different levels of parking that you can pay for and enjoy.
Right, our regular parking is $12, and you're already paying the $12 anyway. You know, what's another $8, and you can be up as close to the park as you can.
That
We
$8
have
might save you 15 minutes in line.
Right, or a half an hour walking. It's definitely
Right.
going to save you some time.
That's true.
If you'd like to do that, another great tip for families: if you come here, you should check into guest services. Stop by guest services and get what we call Kid Track. That's just a basic bracelet that your child wears that has a cell phone number, and it makes sure that if God forbid your child is lost in the park, we can immediately look at that wristband and give you a call if you're separated for any reason.
Yep.
That's something that you should definitely look into as a parent. We also offer parent swap. If you are coming and you've got young children, check it out. Park services.
The parent swap thing is
Park
a good
operations. It's a great way
It's
to.
not what you're thinking it is either.
Great way to.
Less than 1 minute left. We're almost out.
Yeah, we actually, the bumper music is going to take us we're probably going off the air as we speak. Thanks for joining us on the program today. We'll see you next week when we're back with our political discussion. We're enjoying our day at the park. Come on out to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, folks. We'll be back in Detroit next week. We'll see you then.